and welcome to Orange Tree Podcast Show. Today's guest is Elijah, a good friend of ours here at the Orange Tree crib. And bro, thank you for sliding through.
Yes.
Man, I'm blessed to be here. Appreciate y'all, for real.
Yes,
Thank
sir. Yeah. So how's it going, man?
Man, it's been good. I got to see the homies, got to see my cousin. It's been a good trip, love Los Angeles. I was born in Pasadena, so always a good vibe.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long were you in Pasadena for?
I lived there when I was like a baby, so I don't really remember too much.
Got you.
Love it.
Fire.
Feels like every time I climb Echo Mountain, I feel like I'm home. You know what I mean?
Word.
So Pasadena? I didn't know you was from Pasadena.
Yeah. I mean, it's on my passport. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Birth certificate.
Yeah. So I was born in I think it's Huntington Memorial Hospital.
See, yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I thought you was from the East Coast this whole time.
Oh, nah. Yeah. I mean, my story's kind of different. I'm like kind of all over the place, but I lived in the Bay Area when I was little, and Pasadena was like where my mom went to USC, so I basically graduated with my mom when she was pregnant with me. You know what I'm saying? So,
Damn, that's fire.
Wow.
That's super fire.
True statement.
Yeah. Did you do college
I went
up, or did you just leave it at that?
I went to school with Wella in San Francisco, actually.
Lit. Yeah.
Academy of Art University.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Damn. So you guys met over there?
Yeah.
Yeah. We met. He was a hooper. I was a soccer player. You know what I mean?
Crazy. That's
it was
so
interesting.
Far.
Yeah.
Damn, that's so far. I swear to God, didn't know that. So
That's crazy.
how was that? Like, did you guys just run into each other in the cafeteria and was like, "What's good"?
Honestly, I met him through Foz, I think.
Yeah.
We had a mutual friend. He's like Egyptian. He's a super talented dude. We were all friends at the time. He was actually roommates with Wella, so
Fire. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Crazy times, man.
Damn.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's
It's wild because that school, we were the part of the first program that they ever had.
Yeah.
On top of it being like the first art school that actually had a sports program.
Yeah. So
Nice.
it was like an NCAA school that had arts.
Yeah.
And it was like the only art school in the NCAA.
Damn.
So
Wild. It's wild to think about.
Yeah.
It's really wild to think about.
So
What year was that too?
It started in like 08, I think.
Yeah.
So I got there in 09.
Damn.
But yeah, pretty crazy.
Y'all go back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's
sure.
go.
Real.
That's really cool. Damn. So then, that was in San Francisco. When did you head out to New York?
So I started, I did an internship in 2012. I was working for this, I was basically working for a company that did a bunch of different things, but it was like a media company. And I was doing like graphic design and like web design and stuff. And I like loved it so much, I just kept going back to New York, and I just kept making friends out there. And eventually 2014 I made a decision. I was like, all right, I'm either gonna move to Oakland or I'm gonna move to Brooklyn. And Wella was in Oakland, so he was actually a big part of me wanting to move out there, because he was just telling me, he's like, man, we could buy a crib.
Yeah, man.
And I personally wanted to move somewhere where I had no support, I guess, from family, because I felt like I was very comfortable in the Bay. I had my grandpa there, my uncle, cousins, all that stuff. So, like, I wanted to move to New York because New York was, I heard stories from Tatum. We had friends out there that had moved to New York that, they got success. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to put myself in an uncomfortable situation,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I moved to moved to New York in 2014.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's go back a little bit to back when you're in San Francisco. What while you were playing soccer at the academy, what was your major, or what were you specializing in?
So I was it was new media. So I was a designer. I was learning I never really picked up a camera. I do photography now, but like at the time I was doing strictly like branding, like logo design, UX, UI design, websites, interfaces for like apps, graphic design, pretty much just commercial graphic design. And then they also they dabbled in like animation, video, so it was like a kind of like a very like it was a very vague degree. But what I will say is it taught me that in the future you have to be multidimensional, you have to be multidisciplinary, you have to have multiple different things that you use to create whatever it is that you create. So it definitely put me in the mindset of just having different tools.
Got you.
So I learned about composition, lighting, color wheel, you know what I'm saying? So I was learning about everything. It just wasn't like one specialized thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, as I grew as a creator, it just kind of kept me in that mindset of like being fluid and being open to new things, new formats, mediums, and stuff like that.
But how was that you balancing playing a sport and doing the art thing? Like what? Like
yeah. So it was kind of hard.
Yeah,
honestly.
it was tough. It was tough for me.
It was hard because the athletes were expected to be athletes fully, and the teachers at the school, since athletics was kind of like a new concept to most of those teachers, they were like, what do you mean you have to miss class? Or like,
yeah,
what do you mean you're going on a trip? Like it was like a lot of friction. So it was a lot of stress trying to be an athlete and an artist at once. So eventually, like, I kind of gave up the dream of going pro, you know what I'm saying? Because I realized that I enjoyed like creating more, and I saw what people in the school were getting accomplished without sports, and the time they were able to dedicate to their art, and I was like jealous.
Facts.
Kind of like low key.
100%.
Because I was like, man, I got 6 a.m. practice. I'm tired. Like, it's like 10. Everyone else is just like drawing all night, and I can't afford to draw all night. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to wake up early and like, so it was just a lot. But definitely the teamwork from athleticism helped me in like the business world for sure, especially working on like creative teams. So there's like positives and negatives, but yeah, it was hard, man. Like, Academy of Art is no joke.
Right.
Facts.
Crazy. So what'd you pick up? What kind of games you pick up in New York then?
Game, man. Honestly, what really struck me in New York was like when I was interning, I was actually still a soccer player. So, like, I was interning in New York, and then like I had to go back and like finish school. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like in this like industry, I'm in like this fashion industry like type of world where I'm like streetwear brand, you know what I'm saying? Like hype beast type of thing. And it's like I was seeing and meeting all these people, and they're like, wait, you don't work? Like you already go to school? Like I had to tell them I had to leave when they were like, this company was like ready to hire me. They were like, yo, we have like a junior graphic design position for you now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like 21, and I was like seeing kids that were like 18, 19 that were working there in New York. And so it was like, it showed me that it's not necessarily about the paperwork, it's about the product. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no facts.
And so like, it showed me that I needed to refine myself more, and just figure out what I was gonna do. You know what I mean? But New York definitely taught me that it's about the hustle. It's about putting yourself in the right place at the right time with the right presentation of what you have to show for what you do. Like I said earlier, there was kids I knew that was 18 years old out of Boston. Shout out to Ty and Twan Tran. Those guys were like the OGs, and they came out of Massachusetts straight out of high school and just started killing shit, like directing music videos for like ASAP Ferg and stuff. And I was just like seeing these young kids do this shit, and I was like, yo, like I need to get on my shit. So I think what New York taught me is it's just like, it's about getting after it. Like time is of the essence, urgency matters. And like, so that's kind of what inspired me out there, was the pace of like, when people set deadlines, they meet deadlines. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of what I got from it. I think mostly was just like the pace and the quality of work and just getting after it, getting in the streets.
You feel like it's still, because what year was that when you were just explaining like most of that stuff, like around?
That was like 2012, 2013, around that time.
So do you feel like from 2012, 2013 to like obviously now 2021, that energy is like
it's changed?
It's still accepted. Is it still like, I wouldn't say accepted, but does it still resonate with you the same way as like when it did back in those times? Like,
yeah, I think I did it all. Like I did a lot of it, and I seen people that kind of overworked themselves at that pace on some like rat race mentality.
Yeah.
So I definitely saw the positives and the negatives, but as being a young impressionable person, like in the Bay Area, coming from the Bay Area, like where it's a little bit more lax.
Yeah,
and
for
like
sure.
More like kind of get it done when you want to,
yeah,
type of thing.
Yeah.
Just seeing the urgency inspired me initially. And it is true. Like I feel like anyone can go there with a mission and like accomplish what they want to do.
Gotcha.
As long as they just focus. So I would say that still exists now, but obviously COVID changes a lot of that stuff where people left the city out of frustration, or the pace in New York is kind of like, it's way different now, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's no one's like partying or anything. Everyone's just very like stay at home, work, get your work done. I mean, things are opening up now, but like I definitely think the energy of New York has permanently shifted a little bit.
Word.
Just based on people went through it last year out there.
Word.
So
makes sense.
You were telling me the other day that you were in South Africa during that time. I also noticed your bracelet, bro. I actually got this same one. I actually got it from South Africa myself. Is that the same one? Like, did you get that from South Africa?
That's crazy. This is actually this is handmade. This is from Lalibela, Ethiopia.
Oh, fire.
It's like a brass, we got it off like some little kids, if I'm not mistaken. I think her name was Pitanya, actually. I always try to remember her name. But I took a portrait of her, and then she sold me this.
What?
And she said, like, I think my boy John actually got the same one as well. And they were just all selling like jewelry and stuff. And I remember she gave me that and like a little necklace. And, I figured in exchange for like her portrait, you know what I mean? Like I gotta support her business, you know what I mean?
Give value, get value.
Yeah.
Get value, give value.
And she was like, a teenager or some shit, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, never forget me.
Right.
Like, I'll literally never forget that shit, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way. And if you know about Lalibela, like Lalibela is like a holy place.
Word.
So like everyone who was there was like at church basically, and we're just there to like witness everything.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone was like fully garbed up, all white, you know what I mean? Like
right.
Drip. So it was like I wanted to be firing off a lot of pictures, but I also didn't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like these are these people's lives. Like they're not just like art. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
So,
I mean, it is art.
It's art, but I'm
based
saying
on
they're
like,
not just.
They're
art.
not a commodity. They're not like a.
I'm not here
object.
to sell your image. I'm here to like know who
express
you are.
your feeling, man.
Yeah,
That's fire, bro.
Yeah,
that's fire. One thing I like, as like just being friends, brothers, so on. I just feel like especially since the time of college till now, and being immersed in these different industries and what do you call them, like crafts? Like, what is do you believe that your sense of value has changed, like what you believe to be valuable? Because I think for me, especially coming from fashion, the idea of value was way different. Like what I saw as luxury to me now isn't really luxury anymore. I like what I find is luxury is like literally this. Like I live with like guys that we all have very similar creative outlooks, and we're ambitious and optimistic about our futures and what we could do together, and what we do together, how that can spread to everyone else. And like, I think I'm interested in seeing my own brothers' perspectives as to like what they see as value, because it's dope that what you do actually influences people, and with that influence, understanding that like the things you see valuable are part of like what people are taking in or being influenced by. And I just always want just to see my own brothers' perspectives on like what they see as valuable, because I think now what I see as valuable has helped me, just even by having friends, like about family, you know, having pops that are going through, you know, things like health wise. You know, what do you find valuable now? I found like even just talking to my own dad or my mom, or just like
time.
Just time. Like
Time
certain
is
things.
valuable,
Like
bro.
what do you feel like things have changed in terms of how you see value? And like,
it's not even close, man. Like what I thought was cool back then was way different. You know what I mean? I wanted to have a McLaren, all that stuff. But personally, man, like being in Africa so long, like your family, your support, your ability to survive, you know what I'm saying? I personally value survival like crazy now. Like
adaptation,
being able to survive, knowing that I could go to a country
and adapt,
study the map, know how to survive, you know what I'm saying? Know how to go to this market, get food, like take it home, cook that shit, like you know what I'm saying? Like if you do that in a foreign place, like it like something happens, you're like, yo, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? Survival, like also like the value of freedom.
Where?
Like I think freedom is a luxury.
What do you consider freedom?
As crazy as this country is, bro, like we're pretty free.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you look around, like there's a lot of different like governments and stuff like that, but I just noticed in South Africa that it's not free. You know what I'm saying? It's they're working towards it, but you know what we got in the 60s, they got in the 90s. So it's like they're 30 years behind. So just like, you know, the freedom to be able to create, the freedom to be able to visit your family, to fly, to see them, the freedom to be able to make money and like have like a currency system that's actually valuable, like the US dollar or the euro or whatever. I'm not saying it's perfect, but like, you know, I learned the value of US dollars like pretty quick out there, because it's like, you know, out there there's people working 9 to 5 for nothing, you know what I'm saying? And in their currency, that's enough. But to us, that's like, you know, shillings or whatever, nothing. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think my time out there made me, you know, really appreciate the freedoms and stuff that we have here, which I consider luxuries. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? Amendments to the Constitution. Like, like just stuff like that we can just kind of at least present and be like, look, we live in this country, so we have to have these freedoms. But yeah, I think those are two of the biggest things that I learned. And then obviously having the support of like creatives and like your friends. Yeah. You know, when I was in high school, I was one of the only niggas I knew, excuse me for niggas, whatever, friends. Nah, bro, I was one of the only people I knew that that were creatives like in high school, like on my basketball team or like on my soccer team or whatever. So like niggas used to tease me for having my portrait. The art teacher put my portrait on the wall that I drew and like in the hallway. Yeah. And they'd be like, what, you draw, bro? What the hell, you a nerd, bro? Like, and so you know what I'm saying? So having like brothers that I call friends that also do their own craft now as an adult is like the dream to me personally. Cause it's like back then it was like, you know, you kind of stuck out a little bit, or you were weird, or you were introspective because you did stuff at home when no one saw you. Like, you know what I mean? Because everything was about like social like interaction at the time. So whatever you did at home, no one really knew about, you know what I mean? So the fact that I can do my stuff at home and show it to my friend, and they're like, yo, I did this shit at home when I was alone. Like, I fuck with that. How can I help you enhance what you did with what I did? You know what I mean? How can we cross over? How can we support? I think that's one of the biggest things that I consider as a luxury. Like, call up Wella, call up Dom, you know, call up anybody, the homies, like, hey, I just took this image, you know, how can I improve? You know what I'm saying? I just created this painting, how can I improve? Like, you know what I mean? So
it's crazy too. During that time that you just explained, at that time, like, there wasn't no type of Instagram.
Exactly.
So like, you literally had to show people physically, like, this is what I drew, like this teammate,
no, exactly.
like, you know, like, and then things start firing, you know. But yeah, it's crazy, like, just the luxury, I guess you could say, is of today's time is like, you could just put it on your story even if you need to, and then and then bam, feedback. Instant feedback. That's pretty damn
luxury.
Super luxury,
huge.
for sure.
Yeah, the internet is definitely a luxury too, obviously, but it can also be a double-edged sword.
Facts.
But it is a luxury at the end of the day. Like, the fact that we press a button and our food shows up at our crib is like,
no, facts.
It's like some king, king stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just making sure you're.
Oh yeah. We good.
That is an interesting question. Like, how do you feel about, you know, just to dive deeper into that, like what you just said, like, how do you feel about the internet? I feel like the internet is, I think sometimes people vilify it, you know, like, oh, you know, the internet, but I think, I still think it's like the most like expansive thing for us as people. And I think the only problem I will say is like our access to information, but not having the knowledge to sift through it, or the knowledge to even understand what's right, what's wrong, what's like, what's not something I can use in my own life, what's something I should, you know. I think, you know, there's no knowledge of all the information that we're taking in, and it's just coming super fast. Like, how do you feel about the internet? Just today, 2021, media, social media, all that stuff.
I think it's great, honestly. I'm trying to protect the internet. You know, I think a part of what I do is I want to share to lead by example, because I don't want to tell everybody what I'm going to do. I just want to show what I'm doing. Yeah. And like what I'm working on or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's not performative. It's like, hey, this is raw. Like, I'm vulnerable right now. This is what I think about this, like whatever. And I personally think that's great. But, you know, the internet is, it's so vast now. The door's like been wide open for so long. I feel like they're trying to kind of censor it.
Yeah, for sure.
They're trying to slow it down a little bit because it's so crazy. Like Dogecoin and like Bitcoin and all that stuff. Like, it's going crazy. So I'm just like appreciative of the fact that we've had it for so long. I want to protect that freedom. You know what I mean? Because without the internet, I wouldn't have learned half the stuff I learned. Literally. You know what I mean?
You had to go through some institution, and someone's dad you had to know that worked at this company, and
almanacs,
you know, like, all that stuff.
Like, we forget that we used to have to go to the library for anything. I mean, I used to go to the library a lot in college.
I'm still mad, you know.
I haven't been in a minute. I feel guilty, but
library is one of the most untapped resources that's right in front of people.
Last time I went to a library was just before COVID. And it was like one of those you know what, it was a big library, but I only went to the art side. But in the art section was super, like, just, they had a deep discography, you know. But yeah, libraries are definitely some hidden gems.
Yeah, I remember at the academy they used to like suggest all the students go to the library, and like not everyone did. But like I remember Foz, he used to go there and like scan hella like images.
There we go.
And like he'd bring them back to the crib, and like that inspired me to go do that too. But like
then they started taxing the prints.
And they started you
bro,
gotta pay.
what?
I mean
what's this printing at the
lab? Yeah, they started taxing.
Like,
damn.
But yeah, bro, the internet's for sure like this really beautiful thing that's happened to us, because it's given us more freedom, like mentally, you know, and even like in every way. from connecting people to connecting like things that you're just interested in and just putting on game as well. Heck, movies, like, you know, like it is like something that's just at our fingertips, and we could literally find anything on there. It's just how you dig, and that's the thing, is like the skill to dig is definitely a know-how.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like,
Definitely.
because that's how we're all able to be sitting like here, and everybody that we, for the most part, are surrounded by.
For sure, dude. Like, I feel like everything I learned was enhanced by the time I spent alone researching other things.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone taught me anything, it's like, oh, I want to find out 7 more things about this online somewhere. Or like, I mean, mix like online experience with like real life experience, and I think like it's a good juxtaposition as an artist, because like you don't want to take in too much stimulation.
Yeah.
So you got to get that real life stimulation. Like, you don't want to just be here all day getting like your vibes. So you got to be in the world getting those vibes, but also like you can curate your internet experience too.
Yeah,
You gotta apply. You know,
Right.
you can learn the stuff online,
Yeah.
but if you don't apply it, then it just
you got to get on the
exactly.
court and get some PT.
Right.
It's
Get
just
some
information.
It's like
playing
it's just
time.
like stretching all
Facts.
day, acting like you're gonna play without actually playing.
Yeah. You got to get up on the court, the game, the life, you know, the life of court.
No, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, man.
I hate to look at everything in a basketball way, but
No.
my head is like,
Game is life.
yeah,
It is.
yeah. You could only study so much, like turnaround J's, turnaround fadeaways, post moves, fast breaks on tape. You got to eventually take it out on the basketball court, is what I'm saying.
Word.
Yeah, my
Facts.
a homie of mine, his name is John Love. He's like an amazing painter. He actually drew this he drew a pencil drawing of my uncle, which I keep in my room. And my uncle was like a running back or whatever, and he's like running through running through the hole, and on the bottom it says, "A game is a microcosm of life." And so I just keep that on my wall, because it's like that's like one of my biggest inspirations. But the game of football basically taught him how to be a man. So when he got into the business world, he took that same intensity. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think sports in general, I have a lot to be thankful for as far as what it taught me. So,
what was that? What was that statement? Or what was that quote?
A game is a microcosm of life.
So,
That's what it was.
word. That's fire.
That's facts.
Microcosm, a community, place, or situation. I really didn't know what microcosm meant, so I
Yeah.
just wanted to look this up myself. But
Let the
yeah.
people know what is
Yeah,
it
a
exactly?
community, place, or situation regarded as a, how do you say that?
A community, place, or situation regarded as encapsulating in miniature the characteristic qualities or features of something much larger.
Solid.
So basically, a game is an example of what life is, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like a pattern of life.
Word.
You know what I mean?
Word. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But
Do you
shout out to John Love.
Yeah, that's fire. Do you got that? You said you have that sketching at your house?
Yeah, I have it actually. It's literally like, it's a drawing. He's like a realist artist, but he can do multiple different things. But like, it's like so good that you can't tell if it's a photo,
Gotcha.
like from like 5 feet away. It looks like a
super photorealistic.
super realistic. It's all charcoal pencil, or not charcoal, but graphite pencil.
Word.
Nice.
Word. Yo, so I think again too, like I'm in this place of, I'm learning that me as an individual I see myself as a tool now, being able to apply myself to different situations. And how do we equip ourselves with more tools to be able to adjust for any situation? I remember we were talking about like planning and like, what does planning mean? And like for me, planning was like, there's damn near no such thing as planning anymore right now. It's just more like being prepared or equipped with certain characteristics or tools to to be able to take on anything that life, those unknowns that life brings us. And I just want to go deeper and get your perspective on like, what's your take on like planning, or like what does that mean to you, and has that affected you because of COVID and things like that?
Yeah, and I remember we were speaking about that, like planning now just like feels different, because like, you know, a lot of people had huge plans in 2020 or 2019 or whatever.
What?
Like 5-year plan, you know, whatever, everything locked in, about to buy a house in 2022.
Bro,
on the beach.
I'm supposed to be in Mexico on my birthday.
Yeah, like I wanted to go to London. That was like my next adventure. I was gonna go from Cape Town straight to London and just start working out there. I had all the vision in my mind, and then all of a sudden I'm like back to square one. You know what I mean? Not my fault. But yeah, I think that planning is it's an important strategy in life, but it can't be your only thing. You have to be, I feel like you have to be able to know that you can adapt or get something off the ground in real time. Like it doesn't have to always be like, okay, I prepared for this for 10 years. This, like, I'm finally here. Like your 10,000 hours doesn't look one way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you may have to get to that 10,000 hours doing multiple different routes. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like, I think planning is like, obviously, like I have like a calendar, you know what I mean, and like a planner in that regard, but I'm able to just pop up in LA and like support Wella when I need to, you know what I'm saying? Or like, you know what I mean? And like, I don't necessarily plan for that, but like when I feel like in my heart that that's what I'm supposed to do, like my purpose, like I just kind of navigate off of like my purpose. I don't necessarily make decisions off my emotions, but I feel like, you know, you can kind of feel where you're needed and what you're needed for. And I think that's a huge part about being a creative, is having that fluidity of like adaptation, or being able to work under different circumstances like COVID. You know, people who digital creators now have a whole new opportunity with like NFTs and like COVID, and people wanting to buy art more, and like, you know, it's changing the consciousnness of the world, because everyone's looking internally now. Yeah, because it's like we don't necessarily have as many freedoms as we once did because of the situation. But yeah, I think planning just feels almost like a risk now. Almost like like over planning. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, okay, by June I'm gonna be like doing this and this. Like if you would have said that in like January, it probably looks different now than when you said it in January. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think like personal goals and personal growth is like more important than like planning exactly how it's gonna happen, and then just like reaching your goals, like prioritizing your goals rather than like, you know, trying to define the path that you get to your goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
No, I feel the same. You know, I feel like over planning breeds expectation. And when you have expectations upon people you have no control over, one, you're going to usually be like disappointed. Yes. Because they don't live up to what you want them to be. But that's super selfish when I really thought about it, because it's like, if I'm dealing with somebody, I shouldn't be expecting them to be what I want them to be. I should just accept who they are. And either I want to be around them or I don't want to be around them. But let me accept them for who they are, as opposed to trying to change them into who I want them to be. Because I don't even know who I want to be. So who the fuck am I to tell who they should be? You know, like, we can resonate with certain moral perspectives, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be what your environment, you know, made you experience.
It's kind of like that Nipsey quote. He's like, it's like a famous interview where he says, "Don't put your expectations of me on me."
That's facts, though. 100%.
Like,
I know what you're talking about.
That all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's like people assume things or put things together, and like they don't communicate it. They just like push it on you. You know what I mean?
They don't know you fully enough for you to be expected to do something, you know, especially if they're interested. I just think like it defeats the purpose of knowing people if you want them to be what you perceive them to be, as opposed to like
the idea of them.
accepting them for who they are. Like who they are is actually the beautiful unraveling of like a person, as opposed to like structuring or like limiting them to this like idea of what this is, what a woman is, this is what a man is, this is what a kid is, and it's like
it's unfair to put the expectations on people. Like that.
And even like personally, like as a leader of like a movement, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like as a community, sometimes people fall in love with the idea of a person online or like the avatar of the person or like oh, this person always does positive things, so they can't have a negative day, or they can't have like you know what I'm saying, like it's like this is just the perfect person because they're showing me all their highlights online, you know what I'm saying? It's like I think that's kind of a cultural thing right now, unfortunately. It's like people are falling in love with the perfection of someone that doesn't exist.
That's real.
Like
that's real for sure. No, that's real, bro. I think that happens way too much. Like, and as viewers, like there's this like built thing that they have to be perfect. But it's just like you could even talk about like the Tiger Woods stuff, man. Like no one's perfect. I think you should let people like figure things out on their own with privacy. Like remember we're watching that Ronaldo thing on, I think it was on Amazon. And like there was even a point where they wasn't even like giving him peace.
Cristiano or Ronaldo?
Yeah, Cristiano. Yeah. And yeah, bro, it's important. I feel you on that.
Yeah.
It sucks to see when people don't understand that it's okay. Like even the people who are like the biggest of the celebrities or icons, like they're also just, I mean, they're normal people as well.
Yeah.
They have a heart, they have a brain, just like all of us. Yeah. And
human
they're
beings,
human, bro.
But that's what and unrealizing that, the most fucked up part about it is like when you realize that it's like, if I put them in my shoes and I look at my growth, post where I'm at today, a lot of it came from my ability to be alone. So think about it. If you are a person, you don't have any ability to be alone based on like your status or your social positioning. It kind of, you're actually like taking away from the natural process of being a human and how a human grows, and like understanding that alone time allows growth to dive inward, and when you dive inward, you understand more about who you are, and I feel like I had a better understanding of what my purpose was, which is unfolding every day. So I couldn't tell you why I'm here, but at least I feel like I'm working towards understanding more why I'm here and what I can do while I'm here.
That's what
I like to think of myself as like a bridge.
Yeah.
I've always said that like I bridge the gap because like I'm able to adapt to like many different types of people. Like I grew up with Asians. Like when I was a little kid, like my first ever friend was Asian, like in Fremont, California. Like my neighbor was like this kid named Leo, just Taiwanese kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like I just been around a lot of different type of people, and so like I like to feel like I'm biracial. So it's like I'm Black, Native American, white. So it's like I feel like I can go to a lot of different countries and places, and people kind of associate me with whatever they identify with, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, oh, you look like my uncle and he's Ethiopian, or you look like my cousin and he's Puerto Rican, or you look like, so like I try to like lean into that. Like that's like kind of my superpower.
Yeah.
So like adaptation's always been like one of the things. Even my grandma used to tell me like you know how to adjust. You've always known how to adjust. So like that really strikes home for me for sure.
And that's the thing, bro. Is like that's probably one of my favorite qualities that I try to harness as well. Because if you know how to adapt, bro, you know how to problem solve.
Facts.
And that's one of the best things when going into like each day, problem solving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how can I remember like being on the soccer team, and then being in band, and being on the basketball team, and being in art club, and like having to bridge the gap of like, nah, he's cool, he plays trombone, like he's cool, he's not a lame. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like bridging those people together so that like they would even have a conversation with this person, this band nerd. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, oh, like until Elijah, like people like literally told me at one point, like I would have never even fucked with those people without you. Like I would have never talked to white people without you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like that's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I come from a crib where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Multi, bro.
Mental, diverse in terms of physicality and ethnicity.
Bro,
and,
it's crazy. So like I think
I feel you. I'm 100% like same back. You know,
same exact thing. I know SAC is the same way.
Oh yeah, it's just a huge melting pot. My best friend growing up was Japanese and Mexican.
Fire.
It's like that's not really.
Yeah.
There you go.
My parents are Liberian, and also too with that too though the sport like not to always bring it back to sports, but athletics was not based on ethnicity. Like you might go to a certain area, environment, geographical place, and have a population that's mostly something, but overall there's Japanese leagues, there's just standard inner city leagues, there's like Jewish leagues, there's like everyone had like leagues, like, but it was at the end of the day everyone played basketball. That's what all connected us. And if you could put the ball through the hole and like be a positive part of the team, you're pretty lit. Like for the most part, you had fun.
The NBA now is hella diverse.
Yeah, it's just I mean that's what I loved about sports, and like just like I never like, even if there was racism, you could kind of like overpower it with like your just sheer like skill set or commitment to a vision of a team. So you have a team behind you always. You have a coach behind you. Depending on how you structure yourself, like you can always, you're never really alone, and you always have something to strive for. So I really enjoyed that about sports and how that brought me a life of diversity. Just an acceptance of people. Empathy is like something really big when you're on a team full of different people. It's like you have to see their perspective, or at least understand it to an extent in which you allow them to be them and you be you. For the team, because the overall outlook is bigger than any of our own personal perspectives. You know, like we want to win this shit. Like,
so today I was driving to like here to set up for the podcast, and I was having this thought in my mind that was crossing, and it was the concept of color and the concept of energy. Like, and I'm speaking color like as far as like the color of this floor or the rug, and the color of the clouds. And so I feel like there's just a difference. Like when we interact, it's energy. So like, and that's what I go off of. When I go order a drink from down the street, maybe a salary drink or something, it's either someone's giving me good energy or not. And if I don't know somebody, they could even give me a neutral energy, and it's all good. But like for just as far as this talk, like I just don't see in color. Like when it comes to people, I see an energy, and there's more than what the eye sees. Like
it's the zoom out.
It's the zoom out.
But also to add to that you don't see color is like I've always said this since I was little, that I never understood, was just like when we use ethnicity or ethnic background or heritage as a general color, like that's really hard. Like you take so much away from a person. Like, which I understand. I think people, I just always hope when I say it, people don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say. But it's like, as a kid, like when you call me black, as a kid, this is me just thinking as a baby. This is at 5. This is like first grade or 6, first grade, like doing art. I'm drawing oceanscapes and stuff like that. And it's just like, when you see colors and you use them, and then you see a box of Crayolas, but then you turn on the news or you hear your parents talking. Or someone older, and it's like when you look at color as a crayon and you call someone black, it's really hard for that to like, for me to understand that concept. I just, as a kid, it's such a weird concept because it doesn't make sense if I know color. You know, like just like someone would be like, why would you color the sky purple? Is like, why would I color a person black if I don't see really, you know what I mean? I always thought that was confusing for me, is like when we refer to people in terms of color and we use like these general terms is like black or white. It's like, it's really hard, bro, because it's like every white person didn't really, you know, if you're from Ireland and you're from Russia, that's two different people. If I'm from I don't know, Dominican Republic and I'm from Ghana, that's two different people. You know, our skin tones could be the same, but calling me black kind of generalizes my life experiences, and that's really hard because that's all we have when we try to express and connect with people is the life experiences. You know, so that's sometimes where I get confused of like color, just because you're using I'm with you in terms of the energy that you're giving me, but I think I always think that initial concept of color when referred to people as just being limited to the person's experience and how you can actually connect, it's a wall to disconnect me from you, as opposed to finding like gateways or doorways to connecting with you. That's why the whole Kids of Immigrants thing was a thing, because it's like people want to separate me and my brother by being you're black and you're brown, when in all actuality, the life we live is based on a feeling, on an energy, and on a connection of like not the color of our skin. Because when you really look at Danny, he's not brown. When you look at me, I'm not black. Like if you're going off a tone, if I'm painting a picture, which is which is communication to people,
different shades of color.
You know, and being in a time where communication is not really as existent as I would think it should be. It's wild that we don't have that communication of even that simple concept of color. And like, you know, black and brown just kind of generalizes like things. And I know people can break it down as like, you know, we're trying to get points across. But
community.
It's like, no, bro. Like when I'm in my community, I see the energy of people. And every time you bring it in as a colored thing, it's like, you're just finding ways to separate me from my people, as opposed to like, let's connect off of these similar struggles that we go through, which is the feeling, and then while we're connected we can express deeper about what we are, because then you don't just title me as black, you title me as like, I'm a Liberian. I was a kid of two Liberian parents born in America. When you just title me black, you're taking all that away from me.
It means it doesn't even mean what you just said.
It doesn't mean at all what
it means. Like, it means what this country has decided what that is. You know what I'm saying? And there's not necessarily room, like especially when I was in Africa. Like it's interesting. They say, you know, they say, are you black? It's just a lot. Yeah, like in Haiti. In Haiti, I'm considered blanc, you know, there. Like in Haiti, like if you're considered blanc, I'm blanc. They'll probably think you're not blanc, you know what I'm saying? But like it's just everyone has their own way to like put colorism in there, like a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And like it's wild when you travel the world, because it changes from place to place too. Like and you start to realize that America is such a specific thing. It's like a very specific thing, bro. And like we've all been raised in it, so we just feel like this is just how it is, like low key. But yeah, man, like it's crazy.
I find it interesting. You know, I'm not against it, because I get when there is a, you know, progression for the overall seeing of a certain, you know, type of person, when people use that same, you know, concept as like a thing that's actually killing people. I get it, like, you know,
right.
But when it's just like in terms of getting to know people and broadening the perspective of this thing we call human experience, and like what we can do, not what we stereotypically fit into, then I'm just like, I'm more so about like infinite possibilities when a person comes into this planet, or this soul comes into this dimension, as opposed to like categorizing it and limiting it to what you believe you were told before. You know, like I want to be around people who have limitless possibilities and are continually unfolding in front of my eyes by them expressing who they are and how that affects me and the people around them. Like that's allowing people to be people, and allowing yourself to see the beauty that we call life, as opposed to like, again, controlling or expecting things to go a way in which I've just been conditioned to be okay with it going.
Dividing us makes things easier for the oppressor. You know what I'm saying? But when people are separate, it's just easier because
Right.
they're like they can just herd people into doing whatever they want rather than like teamwork. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
So like that's the whole divide and conquer thing. And like my homie Lala was kind of ranting about this when the the atrocities happened in the Asian community.
Mhm.
And she was talking about how everyone is reaching out to her and apologizing and sticking up for the Asian community. And she was like kind of offended by it because she's like, hey, like just because I'm I speak Mandarin or I'm Chinese, or just because I'm Chinese doesn't mean that I'm in a different community than you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And she was just talking about that, and that really like stuck out to me because she's Chinese, and a bunch of Asian people were murdered, and the country responded, and it was great, but people didn't realize they were kind of being disrespectful in a sense of being like, I'm not in your community, you're in your community, so we're gonna pray for your community, and you're not ours, you're your separate thing.
Gotcha.
And she was like, well, I'm Asian, but that doesn't mean I'm not in your community, like we're all in this together.
Mhm.
So like it's sticky because it's like, people think that that they're supporting a community, but if you don't feel a part of it, then how are you supporting it? You know what I mean? So I feel like if like Wella was saying, we're all the same formula, just with different melanin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's all based on where our ancestors adapted to the sun.
Mhm.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if you're from Kenya or if you're from South Sudan, like you're just gonna have more melanin because you're just closer to the equator. Like
Mhm.
it's just built in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when you start realizing that we all have this same genetic makeup that takes on different forms, like we're all literally the same.
Yeah.
know what
Thank
I
you,
mean?
man. Well said. For real.
Facts.
Yeah, for real. I feel
crazy.
like it's as simple as how you just said it, but like with overtime,
Mhm.
but I really feel like it's that, because we all come from the same rock. But yeah, bro.
Well, look, alien, man. I don't know, man.
Well, it might be
This
alien.
dude got he an ancestor, bro.
Hey man,
For sure, bro.
sometimes people escape dimensions, bro.
Yeah, man. But yeah, this has been great, man. For real.
Yeah,
It
bro.
is.
Appreciate you. I mean, we both appreciate you coming out and
Yeah.
or you being here, and like obviously you're here to do other things, but being able to give us your time and talk and just reconnect, like I think it's dope too for people. I hope people get to see what I see in you, just as a brother and someone I appreciate. Just your perspective, your eye, your the empathy you put on people as you go into this world, and you're ambitious to hopefully change the world by being the best you. It means a lot to me, and I hope people see that when they see you. I mean, they do, because people love you as well, but it's just always good for me to get amazing people that I consider my brothers or just friends, and hopefully we get to shine that light
Appreciate
for
you,
people
bro.
to see it, man. Outside of like the cool shit,
Appreciate
it's
you
like
guys,
Appreciate you, man.
it's
For real.
cooler to see the cool shit backed with substance of like what is just the true shit, which is like who you are and your perspective, because it's beautiful, man. It's
Yeah.
fire. It's
Yeah.
fire. It really helps me, and I can think of a lot of other people.
It means
So-
a lot, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm always cheering on my people, man. Like, so to hear that is great. You know what I mean? I don't really ask for cheerleaders.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Like at the end of the day, we all have our purpose, and we're all trying to define what that is. So if I can be of aid and assistance to helping other people try to find their purpose by telling my story, like it's love, bro.
Fire.
That's
Fire.
dope,
It's
man.
literally love.
Fire.
I hope somebody out here sees this and wants to do something different.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Speak your truth, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if anything I could say is just like, as a brother, is just like, man, continue going, continue unfolding without fear of judgment of others, because again, what I always try to tell myself and my friends in my own family, it's like, everyone's perspective of you is just their projection of themselves. So it's like, was, you know, you only know your truth and like walk in it confidently, because eventually they'll pick it up. But if you allow them to project what they believe you to be, then you'll be looking for your truth and who you are for, you know, your entire days on this planet.
Facts. It's like, you know, I definitely experienced that too, where it's like I wanted to be what I wanted to be, and people didn't like that at a young age, because whatever they thought I was gonna be, you know what I mean? Like, oh, your dad play football, you going to the league, right? Nah, bro. I actually hate this shit. You know
If I was that tall, I would.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, if I was that fast,
man,
I
you
would.
were waste. You were talent. You wasted talent. You ain't a football player. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that was the best decision I ever made, was to put down the football helmet, to be honest with you. Got all respect for all my brothers out there that played football. But, you know, like, your path is your own. You know what I'm saying? And, like, you got to define yourself. And, like, I'm just... Like I said earlier about freedom, I'm just happy that I had the privilege to explore who I was.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I had parents that they showed me a path, but they didn't force me down it. You know what I mean? So, like, I was able to think for myself somewhat, and, like, I just want that for everybody.
Yes.
You know?